Everyone, I think we're going to start. Sorry we started a little bit late. I understood that the previous something was running over, so apologies for that. And thank you very much for coming along to listen to the work that we're doing. So this presentation is going to be about, as you can see, acupuncture in the community. I'm going to talk about an auricular, basically NADA, 5-point protocol projects that we're doing in London, and then Phil is going to be talking about what the projects that World Medicine are doing in India, mainly. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Well, I'm sure you all know about the fire that happened at the Grenfell Tower, which was now over about a year and a half ago. It was a really horrendous tragedy. 80 people died in that tower, and it should never have happened, as we all know. And it's become a very political situation now, of course. I live quite close to where that is. I live about 5 miles away from the tower, so I didn't witness it, but certainly it was very much extending outside of the local community to where I am. So the picture here is now that the Grenfell Tower is now finally covered up, because it's still, I believe, being treated as a crime scene. They're still investigating what happened. So obviously the entire community has been affected, and outside of the entire community, I think it was about 5 months ago, I heard that mental health experts were saying that they were reckoning that about 11,000 people would be affected, their mental health would be affected by what's happened. And the fact that it's still there is just a reminder, obviously, that every day. So, a group of acupuncturists, very shortly after the fire, I think it was literally the weekend after the fire, came down and started giving treatments. Literally sort of on the street, in the fields, as you can see here. Wasn't just acupuncturists, there were a whole bunch of volunteers. I'm sure you probably heard about it on the news, that help was pouring in, basically. People were bringing food, because obviously people in the tower just lost, people who got out of the tower absolutely lost everything. And again, I'm not sure if any of you know, but they went on to become emergency acupuncture, headed by Shira Khan and Gisela Norman, and they got a pool of volunteers together, which were mainly the ACSIM members, and they carried on giving treatments for quite a few months. And I began talking to, it was initially Gisela, and the community was seeing how much acupuncture was helping, basically. I think it was an unbelievably brave thing to do, for them to come down, because it was such a horrendous, awful situation. And I also know that quite a few of the acupuncturists were quite traumatised as well by hearing just by being there and hearing the stories and seeing the people. So I started talking with Gisela about setting up a project, basically, where we could give acupuncture and it would be sustainable. So we could continue doing it for, we agreed a year, which is nearly coming up. And one of the things that had happened was that a few places in the community had given spaces for the acupuncture to be delivered, basically, and as I'm sure you all know, it's quite difficult in the community because of the bylaws and all that kind of thing. Doing this kind of thing is not easy. And one of the places that Gisela and Shira's group of acupuncturists had been giving acupuncture was at the Almanar Mosque Cultural Centre, which is, it's about you can't see the Grenfell Tower from it, but it's under the West Way, so it is obviously in the local community. And the Almanar Mosque basically opened their doors immediately to all sorts of help and housed a lot of treatments, a lot of help, a lot of support, and still do. Yeah, so this is just basically, I haven't got any photographs of the work that we're doing in the mosque, simply because it's quite sensitive there in terms of who we're treating, and they don't want to have their photographs taken, which I think is quite understandable. But I have got photographs of just general training, because I'm a NADA trainer, an ear acupuncture trainer. So the photographs that you see are of just in general training, people who've been happy to have their photographs taken. Yeah, and as I was saying, because I live reasonably close, 5 miles away, but I've worked a lot in Portobello Road. I've done training in Portobello Road. I have quite a lot of NADA contacts. Mainly it's been in substance misuse, where I train people to do the ear acupuncture. But there were a lot of people that came forward and said they would like to help if we set up a NADA clinic. So then I started talking with Alison, Chair of World Medicine, and obviously Phil's a trustee of World Medicine as well, because I thought it'd be quite a big thing to do for just us to do, because we're such a small, especially administratively, organisation, and we decided to do this in collaboration. So this is basically a project that with NADA GB and World Medicine have set up. So, well, the first thing we did was we held a training day, and that was August last year, where we just invited any BACC members, any body acupuncturists who wanted to come and help. And I led the training, World Medicine organised it, and we had about 8 people come on the training, and they just learnt the NADA protocol in a day. So that was really how we started with those 8 people. Obviously there have been limitations in terms of people's availability when we decided to set up the day that we've chosen, which is a Tuesday morning. Some people couldn't make that, but we've done well. We've now got a pool of about 17 volunteers, and again, that's all people who've said they can help, but some people just can't make the Tuesday. I'm saying this because basically we could always do with more help. So again, the criteria for volunteers coming and helping us with the project is to complete a World Medicine volunteer form, to be an appropriately qualified acupuncturist with NADA training, and that has now extended to NADA practitioners who are not acupuncturists, and who in fact have been some of them have been very, very keen and enthusiastic, and are coming very regularly to deliver the treatment. Obviously people need to be appropriately insured, and to have a DBS, which is a clearance disclosure certificate, and to come along and just shadow me or one of the other trainers, NADA trainers at the mosque. And that's just a picture of the mosque from the outside. I'm going to do this slide first. So again, why have we chosen to do NADA? NADA being the 5-point protocol, which has been used, it's used internationally all over the world. It has been used predominantly in substance misuse, but over the last 10-15 years it's been used a lot more in the kind of wider sphere of general mental health. It's used even in cancer care now in hospitals to help with hot flushes, insomnia, that kind of thing. But it is being used a lot in post-trauma. It was used after the awful 9/11 tragedy as well, when the Twin Towers went down. And a group of NADA practitioners set up a NADA clinic there, which very, very close by. And in fact, this service went on for 10 years, where anyone in New York, anyone in the community could just come in and have treatment. And they found there that although they offered counselling as well, and they offered other body therapies, and they found that nearly, it's a huge percentage of people, over 80% of people would choose to come have the ear acupuncture or some form of body work rather than have counselling, because it's bringing up all the trauma, etc. So that's what happened there. So NADA is non-verbal. We don't need to ask hardly any questions at all. We need to ask a few questions about sort of general health the first time somebody comes and has a treatment, but that's literally takes a couple of minutes. It's also in this situation where we're working in a mosque and some people don't speak very good English. It helps in that sense as well. We're not asking too many questions. So, people come in, they sit down, they have a little question. The practitioner will go up to them, ask them 4 or 5 questions, and then they can put the needles in, and then they can sit there for up to 40 minutes. We have a minimum of 20 minutes, and 40 minutes is the maximum. Having said that, there is a counsellor. I think there were 2 counsellors on site at the mosque. That I understand she's fully booked. I saw her the other day, and so obviously if people do have the need, they can see her. So as I put here, Dr. Michael Smith was the founder of NADA, who sadly passed away at the end of last year. He was somebody who was certainly one of my mentors, somebody who went all over the world, not just in his location in New York, where he was working at the Lincoln Recovery Centre as a director there, helped so many people. But as he would say, which I think is just a beautiful thing, there are times when verbal interaction is like trampling on the flowers. So we are running a session now, and we have been since last October. It's a 2-hour session every Tuesday, and it's in the mosque. The mosque has an open door policy, so anybody can come in and have the treatment. However, predominantly most people that we are treating are mosque users, so a lot of the people are Muslim, but we do have people that are non-Muslim as well who are coming in and having treatment. And we are also finding that it is predominantly women, and because of the custom and the headscarf, we do have a separate room. We have a big room for the women, and because there are not so many men coming, we've had about maybe 5 or 6 men who come quite regularly for treatment. So they have another smaller room. And we usually have. We have had up to 25 people coming at a session. It was closed during Ramadan, and then we didn't run the sessions over some of the summer. So at the moment it's taking time to build up again. But we're having about 10 to 15 people coming in for treatment at the moment. Yeah, so that's one of the signs, and obviously people don't pay for it, it's free. You get regular people coming in who just come in, just sit, have the needles. That's another wonderful thing about NADA, because it's a group. People don't know anything. Often people don't know anything about acupuncture and might be nervous about it because it's needles, etc. So it's really great that people can just wander in, they can see that people are sitting quietly, looking peaceful, and that gives them a lot of reassurance that they would like the treatment. So I thought I just found this on their website, but they've now got ear acupuncture as part of their activities. You can see there. So they're offering, there's yoga, they've got Pilates, and ear acupuncture has now become a regular part of the mosque. So we are beginning to collect data, and obviously this is a voluntary service at the moment, and the agreement was to run this for a year and then review. So we are beginning to, we need to know who's coming for the treatment. These were stats that were done in March, so they're a little bit out of date, but we do have a lovely student who's coming and doing some research, doing it as part of her MSc, Nicola, who's just started, who's going to be coming in and interviewing people about their experience of having the ear acupuncture. So you can see here that this is up to March. So this was every week from October. We had a total number of 126 patients. We did 322 treatments, and you can see it is predominantly women that are coming in. The age range does vary from quite young to, to 60s, 70s. The woman that is running these activities, who is, I must say, people who run the mosque are just wonderful, and it is a really, really wonderful place to be and to work. And they really, really value the acupuncture. One of the managers there, she is the manager for the over 55, so we do, quite a lot of people seem to be of that age. And you can see that also the figures for people having more than 10 treatments as well, 48 there, 8 or 9 treatments, 34. So people are coming back, and people are also understanding that it's not just about having one session that's going to help. And what we started asking people as well, because I'm saying it's a non-verbal treatment, is we now have on our forms, we ask people, do they feel no change at all? Do they feel some change? Do they feel significant change, or are they fully recovered? And obviously we're not asking people any questions, because we're not we don't have the capacity for that, and that's really not what NADA is about either. At least in that situation. I mean, it is, because we're going to find out more, hopefully, from when Nicola's doing her research. So it really is in a very broad way, and people are understanding that as well. And we are getting a large portion of people that are saying that they are feeling significantly better. And the things that the feedback really is, it's helped generally with stress, it's helped people sleep, it's helped anxiety. Some people are talking about physical body pains as well, like neck pain, back pain, and just general mood really as well. And you can visibly see it. There are some people that have come in very regularly. I mean, some ladies have just, when we've asked them how they feel, they've just lit up and said, we feel so much better. And I wrote this in my article, they've literally kind of skipped out of the room, which is so rewarding, and it's just so valuable. Yeah, so I talked about that. And that's just a picture of the inside of the mosque. We have given treatments in the prayer room, and it's obviously a very unusual setting to be giving acupuncture. I've kind of got used to it now, but initially it was, felt very different. So we have given treatments in there, but generally we have like a sort of one of their conference rooms. Yeah. We also did an interview last week as well, which was fairly impromptu, where a group of the ladies came up and talked to, actually it was Kevin who did the interview, and I think it's available. It's on Facebook.
UK Health Radio.
That's right, UK Health Radio. It's really worth listening to. I did a little talk at the beginning about the acupuncture. We had about 6 or 7 people who basically said how it was helping them, and we had some amazing. It was very impromptu. They didn't know what they were going to be asked, and again, it was helping with stress, just helping with the trauma. Some of the women there, actually said they'd lost friends, or their friends had lost friends, and just being able to come and have the acupuncture. The other thing that came up as well was the social side of it as well, that they felt that it was really good being together in the room. A lot of these women felt that they had been isolated, and it was somewhere for them to come, and they'd made really good friends. One woman said that it gave her hope, which was fantastic. Yeah, it was really, really moving. And I am going to read off my PowerPoint now, because I think this is something that Dr. Michael Smith said about how he thinks NADA meets global needs. And so NADA provides social integration with other services. Apprenticeship training is always necessary because the clients are often troubled and distracted. NADA is a non-verbal approach. There are no diagnostic procedures. The ear points provide a balancing effect. Some people fall asleep, some feel relief of depression, and some seem to be meditating. These balancing effects continue from 1 to several days, even though the patient may be exposed to contrasting emergencies during that time. It is a coping and preventative effect. NADA acupuncture helps the body help itself. It is not a dominant process. It is supportive and integrative, and it adds a valuable component to the behavioural health fields. So, I'm going to finish this, just to pass over to Phil now to talk about the World Medicine Project in India. But just that we are always looking for help, volunteers to do the treatments, and also particularly admin. One of the other things, just quickly, is that we are investigating another space outside of the mosque, and in fact we have been offered a space which is a new hub that's been set up by Kensington and Chelsea. So I have met with the head of the Residents Association. It's just chasing it up and following it up, and people not responding to emails and that kind of thing, and having time to go there. But we will be setting up another basically clinic there, NADA clinic there. And the other thing about NADA is that people are realising it's good, it's very good, and it's helping to a certain extent, but they're also asking for, they're realising that it has its limitations, and they realise that acupuncture can do, body acupuncture. So, yeah, it's great that we're doing this, but it's sad that it has to be off the back of what's happened. But if we can become a bit more visible because of it, that will be a very good thing in the wider sphere, is how I see it. So anyway, thank you.